we go. Vern, come on over here. You can light the last candle, the candle of love. And Nolan, you want to light the tall one? Thank you. Oh, no, we haven't got it. Got it now? Excellent, we've got it now. So, all right, guys, do you want to come on down here and sit down? I'm going to teach you a song. I'm going to teach it to everyone. So this is Epiphany, and Epiphany means, do you remember what Epiphany is? Want to sit here? What does Epiphany mean? When the wise men came to see Jesus and Josh? The same thing for you too. It also means a revelation. And sometimes when you learn something new, do any of you go, aha? Yeah? And do you know scientists, when they discover something new, they say, Eureka! So here's an Epiphany song that I'm going to teach you. Okay, so repeat. You're a scientist? Yeah? Repeat after me. Aha! Eureka! Epiphany! Aha! Eureka! Epiphany! Jesus came to this world for you and me. Jesus came to this world for you and me. The world, yeah. Like wise men travel far. Ready? You don't know the things. Emily Grace already knows the song, but not everyone knows the song. We're just going to sing it one line at a time, okay? Like wise men travel far. Travel far. Following the star. Following the star. Bringing good news to our community. Bringing good news to our community. All right, do you guys want to try to sing it all once through? Yeah? Okay. Aha! Eureka! Epiphany! Jesus came to this world for you and me. Like wise men travel far, following the star, bringing good news to our community. So we'll try singing that again. That song is what the season of Epiphany is all about, realizing how God is in our world and the good news that God brings to our world. Let's put our hands together and say a prayer. Dear God, thank you for the epiphany of your Son, that he is Lord of all. Be with these children today as they learn and grant them epiphanies so that they may know your love deep in their hearts. And be with us all today as we worship. We pray this in your most holy and blessed name. Amen. All right, go and enjoy, guys. Walking slowly. Maybe you have their enthusiasm to hear the good word as we invite our first speaker to come up.
A reading from the book of Isaiah. Arise, shine, for your light has come, and the glory of the Lord has risen upon you. For darkness shall cover the earth, and the thick darkness the peoples. But the Lord will arise upon you, and his glory will appear over you. Nations shall come to your light, and kings to the brightness of your God. Lift up your eyes and look around. They all gather together. They come to you. Your sons shall come from far away, and your daughters shall be carried on their nurses' arms. Then you shall see and be radiant. Your heart shall thrill and rejoice, because the abundance of the sea shall be brought to you. The wealth of the nations shall come to you. A multitude of camels shall cover you. The young camels of Midian and all those from Sheba shall come. They shall bring gold and frankincense, and shall proclaim the praise of the Lord. Hear what the Spirit is saying to the church.
Thanks be to God.
readings from Psalm 72, verses 1 to 7 and 10 to 14. Refrain, all nations should serve him. Give the king your justice, O God, and your righteousness to the king's son, that he may rule your people righteously and the poor with justice, that the mountains may bring prosperity to the people, and the little hills bring righteousness. He shall defend the needy among the people. He shall rescue the poor and crush the oppressor. He shall live as long as the sun and moon endure, from one generation to another. He shall come down. He shall come down like rain upon the mown field, like showers that water the earth. In his time shall the righteous flourish. There shall be abundance of peace, like the moon shall be no more.
All nations shall serve him.
The kings of Tarshish and of the isles shall pay tribute, and the kings of Arabia and Saba offer gifts. All kings shall bow down before him, and all the nations do him service. For he shall deliver the poor who cries out in distress, and the oppressed who has no helper.
All nations shall serve him.
He shall have pity on the lowly and poor. He shall preserve the lives of the needy. He shall redeem their lives from oppression and violence, and dear shall have led thee in his sight.
All nations shall serve him.
Second reading is from the book of Ephesians. A reading from the letter of Paul to the Ephesians. This is the reason that I, Paul, am a prisoner for Christ Jesus for the sake of you Gentiles. For surely you have already heard of the commission of God's grace that was given to me for you, and how the mystery was made known to me by revelation, as I wrote above in a few words, a reading of which will enable you to perceive my understanding of the mystery of Christ. In former generations, this mystery was not made known to humankind, as it has now been revealed to his holy apostles and prophets by the Spirit. That is, the Gentiles have become fellow heirs, members of the same body, and sharers in the promise in Christ Jesus through the gospel. Of this gospel I have become a servant according to the gift of God's grace that was given to me by the working of his power. Although I am the very least of all the saints, this grace was given to me to bring to the Gentiles the news of the boundless riches of Christ, and to make everyone see what is the plan of the mystery hidden for ages in God who created all things, so that through the church, the wisdom of God in its rich variety might now be made known to the rulers and authorities in the heavenly places. This was in accordance with the eternal purpose that he has carried out in Christ Jesus our Lord, in whom we have access to God in boldness and confidence through faith in him. Hear what the Spirit is saying to the church. Thanks be to God.
Gospel of our Lord Jesus Christ according to Matthew. Glory to you, Lord Jesus Christ.
In the time of King Herod, after Jesus was born in Bethlehem of Judea, wise men from the east came to Jerusalem asking, "Where is the child who has been born King of the Jews? For we observed his star at its rising and have come to pay him homage." When King Herod heard this, he was frightened, and all of Jerusalem with him. And calling together all the chief priests and scribes of the people, he inquired of them where the Messiah was to be born. They told him, "In Bethlehem of Judea, for so it has been written by the prophet. And you, Bethlehem, in the land of Judah, are by no means least among the rulers of Judea, for from you shall come a ruler who is to shepherd my people Israel." Then Herod secretly called for the wise men and learned from them the exact time when the star had appeared. Then he sent them to Bethlehem, saying, "Go and search diligently for the child, and when you have found him, bring me word, that I may also go and pay him homage." When they had heard the king, they set out, and there ahead of them went the star that they had seen at its rising, until it stopped over the place where the child was. When they saw that the star had stopped, they were overwhelmed with joy. On entering the house, they saw the child with Mary, his mother, and they knelt down and paid him homage. Then opening their treasure chests, they offered him gifts of gold and frankincense and myrrh. And having been warned in a dream not to return to Herod, they left for their own country by another road. The Gospel of Christ.
Praise to you, Lord Jesus Christ.
Today, as the children pointed out, we celebrate the Feast of Epiphany because it is both the feast of the coming of the three wise men and this feast of revelation. And through the wise men, I believe that God has set out and wants to reveal something to us. And what I feel that God wants to reveal to us is found within the names and how we perceive the wise men. First off, we hear that the wise men were followers of the stars. People who are followers of the stars today are called astrologers. And there is a lot in our culture about astrology. I realized this a few months ago. I complimented a cousin of mine on an interesting design that she had on her ring. I said, "Oh, that looks beautiful." And she said, "Thank you. And what sign are you?" And I looked at her and I said, "Pardon?" She said, "Well, what sign are you? I'm a Leo, so what are you?" "Oh, okay, I got it." I'm like, "I'm a Gemini." "Oh," she said, "well, that means that you must be very, what was it? I wrote it down here. Creative, but you're also two-sided because you're a twin." She said, "I'm a Leo, so I'm like a lion, fierce and passionate, but I can be self-centered." Okay. And you know, you look at any kind of newspaper, all the newspapers have them. No matter what you read, there's always your horoscope. What the stars have to say about your day, what the stars have to say about who you are. And for those who are interested, they turn to the stars to see who it is that they are called to be and what it is that the stars have deemed as their destiny. It's fun. Great. not something that I could fully throw myself behind. I think because I don't follow those stars as much as I follow that one star, that star of Bethlehem. But the wise men also were ones who looked up to the sky to read what was in the future. So we need to hold that mystery there and to just take it as it is. Wise men were also known not only as astrologers, but also we hear them called sometimes the Magi. Now, Magi refers to those who do magic. Again, this is kind of somewhat troubling because most of the time in our scriptures when we hear about Magi and magicians, it's not under a positive light. Now again, as much as I think astrology can be kind of fun at times, I like magic at times too. I always take great delight in watching a magic show, but I don't hold faith in it because I have come to realize that any magic, no matter how astounding and marvelous it seems, is always a sleight of hand or a trick. There's something that you can't see happening underneath that if you really understood it, you would be able to know how they were able to do what they were able to do. So I could sit there and be amazed and enjoy it, but I don't put faith in magic. But these guys were known as Magi, as the ones who were able to do things that we cannot understand. This is different than miracles that God brings around. They were known as Magi, as magicians. How does God work through Magi here? The title that I can get behind most, probably because it fits most in with my rational kind of way of thinking, is wise men. I can get behind this idea of people who diligently study and learn, and who, through experience and time, become wise. And so the title wise men, I think I'm most comfortable with, instead of the astrologer or the magicians. But if we look at this idea of wise men, we know that they saw something in the stars, they did maybe they were mathematicians, they did calculations, and it took them to Jerusalem. But what we hear from our text is their knowledge only took them so far. It didn't actually lead them directly to the stable. Even though that's so many of our images in the wonderful nativity plays, what we have in the scriptures is the Magi's journey leads them to Jerusalem. And at Jerusalem, they present themselves and they say what they have seen, and they say, could we learn from your learned people? We have seen the star, and we believe it speaks of the King of the Jews, but we don't know any more. Our wisdom only goes so far. And so the priests and the scribes are called upon to try to answer the wise men's question. Well, where would this child be born? Where is the prophecy? And the wise men of Jerusalem, God's holy people, the scribes and the priests, they look in the scriptures, our words to direct us to our future. And they say, well, according to the prophecies, the child is to be born in Bethlehem. But interestingly enough, we don't hear of any of the scribes or priests going with the wise men to pay homage to the newborn child. They might be learned and wise. They might know the answers. But they don't have enough faith in the ones who have come to travel there themselves, to see for themselves if what they are saying is true. They dismiss them. They dismiss them as maybe foreigners, as astrologers, as magicians, as wise people from somewhere else, but they don't take their words at face value. They don't bother. The only one who seems to bother and be interested is Herod and some of the people when he is told that his kingdom might be at risk. When nationhood and power are at play. And the only reason he might realize this is he sees these wise men as another thing that they are sometimes called, which are kings. 3 kings, foreigners from a different land who have come bearing some kind of wealth. And for that, for their wealth and the power that they represent, are deemed worthy to listen to. So he sends them out with this king to king kind of idea. You find them and you let me know where they are. And so whatever they are, they go off alone. These astrologers, magi, wise men, or kings. They go off and they find the child. And they see him for who God has revealed him to be, which is the Messiah, the King of all kings, the Lord of all lords, the one God had prophesied through the prophet Isaiah, through the Psalms, through all the prophets, the one who is to come. And seeing this, they knelt down and they worshipped. There is mystery here, but it's mystery worth holding on to and learning from. Because regardless of who they were, astronomers, magicians, wise men, foreign dignitaries, kings, they all inform us that the birth of Jesus is of cosmic and astronomical importance for all people. And God will often use the most unlikely people to reveal his presence in the world. No one is to be shut out of the revelation of Christ. And sometimes it is the most unlikely people or situations that will reveal to us deep truths about who Christ really is. The story of the wise men shows us that we can never say never when it comes to God. The season and story of Epiphany shows us that God refuses to be put into boxes, refuses to be only there for certain kinds of people, refuses to have any kind of limitation because God is bigger than anything that we could dream or imagine about God. And in the next few weeks, as we'll hear more and more stories of revelation, as people come to see Christ truly as the Son of God, we will learn from Jesus himself as he reaches out to the least and the most unlikely people that God is truly there for everyone, and God's boundaries stretch far beyond what we could ever imagine. This season is one of my favorite seasons of the church because it reveals to us all the mysteries of God, all the things that lay hidden, and brings them to light. It shows a God who refuses to stand still or be within constructed boundaries. A God who defies all laws of class, culture, religion, and even physics to make himself known. And in this season, I invite you to think about where God has revealed God's self to you and how it is that you have been touched by God. Maybe in an unlikely place or by an unlikely person, but how have you come to know who Christ is more deeply? How have you come to confess him yourself as Lord? And you'll see that throughout this season, I invite you, if you have a story, to come to me and tell me, and if you're brave, to come and to tell us all. And we'll have times in this season where we will hear testimonies from different people about how it is that God has spoken to you. So hold that in your heart and ponder that, as Mary pondered everything in her heart. And let us be open to the mysteries and revelations of Christ. Thanks be to God. Amen.
this bright Epiphany morning, may we pray that God may come into our hearts to dwell with us and to guide and lead us through this brand new year. The responses will be, Lord, grant us peace. In joy and humility, let us pray to the Creator of the universe, saying, Lord, grant us peace. By the good news of our salvation, brought to Mary by the angel, peace on earth was the angel's message. And whilst we can know that peace in our hearts, too many in the world have yet to learn what it means. Be with all the troubled and conflicted places in the world where war reigns. Help peace to reign on earth. Hear us, O Lord. Lord, grant us peace. By the mystery of the Word made flesh, we give thanks that we are given more clarity about your mercy and are brought closer to you. Be with our leaders and help them navigate and find clarity in the challenges of their roles as they seek to serve. In our cycle of prayer, be with Catherine, Gabriel, and Gabriel Aldrin and their children, Jason and Johanna, and with David Lord. Hear us, O Lord. By the birth in time of the timeless Son of God, hear us, O Lord. Be with those looking for relief at this time, remembering especially the sick, for Helen, Harry, Valerie, Yolanda, Diane, Frank, Mildred, and Mary. Comfort and sustain those who are in need of your grace at this time. Hear us, O Lord.
Lord,
by the manifestation of the King of glory to the angels and magi, you are the King to both the humble and those in need, as well as to the rich and the ones capable of offering gifts. You are the Lord of all, and we pray your word inspires us all to hear and follow you. Hear us, O Lord.
Lord,
by the submission of the Maker of the world to Mary and Joseph of Nazareth, as you strengthened and walked with them in the role you had set up for them, we pray that as your church, we may submit to your will and strengthen our service to you here on earth. Be especially with our members. Hear us, O Lord.
Lord,
and we ask that God may accept all our gifts and prayers in the name of our beloved Savior, Jesus Christ. Amen.
This new year, with good news It's one of those days. So you'll notice a few announcements on the back. This coming Friday at 7 p.m. we'll be having a prayer meeting here in the chapel, so please come in and join us if you can at 7 p.m. Next Sunday, we are celebrating a baptism, so that's a great festival, so please think of coming out to that. And on Sunday, the 20th, we actually have two events, only one of them is here listed. After the service, we'll have an advisory board meeting. But prior to that, in the service, we are inviting a photographer out from the Diocese of Toronto who will be taking photos of our service and might ask to take some of your photos as well for our website, which we are currently constructing. So please plan on coming to church that day. We want the church to be full and to seem thriving and everyone happy, and we'll take lots of pictures on that day as well so that we could begin to use our website as ways to share what we're doing here with the outside world as we seek to revamp that. And then we have a few birthdays and anniversaries. Or a few anniversaries. We have Belinda is here. Belinda Bede, come on up. Everyone else we will remember in our own personal prayers. And Belinda, and a few other announcements. Now that I see Belinda, it's a good reminder that if you have not signed up for coffee hour, Belinda coordinates that all. And we need people to help cook and bring some snacks for us after service, because that truly is one of the great things about service here, is that time of fellowship after the service. So please sign up if you haven't, and if you haven't picked up your envelopes as well, please do that at the back. And I remember that, especially because I offered to bring a cake for today, because that's great, because it's my anniversary. An anniversary cake, and the cake downstairs, I'll let you all know, is an epiphany cake. So that means inside is hidden a coin. And whoever gets the coin, it's supposed to be good luck for the year. So this is an extra incentive to try the coin, to try the cake to see if you'll get the coin, which was wrapped up not to, so it won't hurt the cake in any kind of way. So let us pray for you now, and we'll eat later. Let us pray. Heavenly Father, God of love and God of mercy, we give you thanks that you bring together men and women in this holy sacrament of marriage, that together they may serve you, and by their witness to one another in the world, they may be strengthened and may serve you. We give you thanks at this time for Bennett and Belinda and for the love that you have brought into their lives, and we ask that you continue to bless them and keep them, that your light might shine upon them, and they may continue to be a sign and symbol to the world of what your love could do through their love for each other. So we pray in your most holy and blessed name. Amen.
As we celebrate this day,
Blessed are you, gracious God, creator of heaven and earth. You have revealed your eternal plan of salvation and shown your Son, Jesus Christ, to be the light of all peoples. Therefore, with angels and archangels, we raise our voices in joyful praise to proclaim the glory of your name. Therefore, Father, according to his command,
You never said, we proclaim his destruction, we await his coming, O Lord.
and we offer our sacrifice of praise and thanksgiving to you, Lord of all, presenting to you from your creation this bread and this wine. We pray you, gracious God, to send your Holy Spirit upon these gifts, that they may be the sacrament of the body of Christ and the blood of his new covenant. Unite us to your Son and his sacrifice, that we, made acceptable in him, may be sanctified by the Holy Spirit. In the fullness of time, reconcile all things in Christ to make him new, and bring us to that city of life where you dwell with all your sons and daughters. Through Jesus Christ, our Lord, the firstborn of all creation, the head of the church, and the author of our salvation, by whom and with whom and in whom, in the unity of the Holy Spirit, all honor and glory are yours, Almighty Father, now and forever. And now, as our Lord has taught us, we are bold to pray.
Hallowed be thy name.
May the God of infinite goodness scatter the darkness of sin and brighten your hearts with holiness. And the blessing of God Almighty, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit be amongst you and remain with you, now and always.